Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of the Savery Show. I'm your co-host, Avery Floyd.
I'm your co-host, Sterling Littlejohn.
We thank you for tuning in. So, our very first episode, as you guys may have heard in the intro, Sterling and I mentioned that we're authentic and we keep it real. So, in this time in the world, it's hard to avoid everything that's going on in our country, and we don't run from any topics. So you guys know the Savery Show is a sports show, but of course, with everything that's going on, we're going to keep it real. Unless you've been living under a rock, the names George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery are few in a long list of black men and women who have felt subject to racism, police brutality, and the social injustice and inequalities that have stricken our black brothers and sisters in our nation. With that being said, if you guys turn on the TV, go on your phones, check the internet, or just go outside and drive around wherever you are, you can tell that there are protests all over the United States of America. But our connection to this is focused on sports. So getting into the sports connection with these protests, you guys probably know that there have been a plethora of athletes at the highest level in the NFL, the NBA, MLB, and all different sports leagues across the country that aren't playing at the moment, but everyone has been speaking out through social media. We've had pro athletes march and protest around normal civilians like Sterling and I. So it's been amazing to see how our athletes have been coming together, speaking out more than ever, I can say honestly. And it's been great to see us showing unity as a people in this country. Of course, our black people, and then our white brothers and sisters, and Hispanic Americans, and also Asian, Native Americans, people of all different races, creeds, colors coming together. It's been a beautiful thing. But with all that being said, there's still some negativity that continues to spew every single day. The biggest one I could say in the sports world has been by a star quarterback, perennial Pro Bowl quarterback, a Super Bowl champion quarterback, a quarterback that has so many records in the NFL, go down as one of the greatest to ever play the game. However, that man's name is Drew Brees. And if you haven't been living under a rock, you are aware of his recent comments and the criticism that he's received. So I'm going to just read a quote by Drew Brees when he was interviewed by Yahoo Finance. Brees made it very clear that he's against the forms of protesting that we've seen in the NFL that originated from Colin Kaepernick back in 2016, that was carried on by a select group of players in 2017. Then from there, the protests kind of died down. We haven't been talking about the protest of NFL players taking a knee for a few years now. Colin Kaepernick has not been let back into the NFL. He filed a grievance against the NFL during this time. Supposedly, they had settled for undisclosed amount. There were rumors, but at the end of the day, we really don't know how much money that he received. With that being said, Colin Kaepernick had opportunity to try out to make it back in the NFL. And as you may be aware, Colin Kaepernick did not go by the exact rules of this NFL workout that was supposed to be in Atlanta. Instead, Colin Kaepernick held his own workout away from the Atlanta Falcons training facility in Flowery Branch, Georgia. He held it in Clayton County, about an hour and change away from the initial site they wanted him to try out at. This left coaches and scouts in the wind. They did not follow him down there, only a select few. But nonetheless, we know Colin Kaepernick's still not employed in the NFL. Okay? So going to Drew Brees' comments, and I quote from what Brees had said, "I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country." Drew Brees also said, "Let me just tell you what I see, or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try and make our country and this world a better place. End quote. Breeze also added that standing with your hand over your heart is an equally good way of showing unity. I'm going to quote Breeze one last time. Starting to quote, every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. And in many cases, it brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, Breeze said. Not just in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movement of the 60s, and everyone and all that have been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together, we can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution. Breeze has since apologized for his comments, but has been facing major backlash, including some that's come from his own teammates, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, his newly found teammate, Malcolm Jenkins, and plenty of other current and former players in the NFL. So, with that being said, Sterling, we can see that Drew Brees has a lack of awareness for the times, a willful ignorance or blindness. And I'm trying to figure out, where do we go from here with these comments?
So first, as you already stated, we know that Drew Brees is a great quarterback. We get all that. My issue from his comments is, where was this before, when this was all occurring with Colin Kaepernick? And on top of that, this has nothing to do with the current situation that's going on right now. And when Drew Brees talks about the flag, my whole thing is, our ancestors were over there fighting in those wars. World War II, Vietnam. And when they came back over to the States, they were faced with racism. They weren't appreciated for their hard work and dedication to our country. So when he says that about his grandfather and great-grandfather, what about ours? They weren't respected when they came back over to this country. So when Drew Brees makes those comments, he has to understand what we went through. And also when he talked about, we stand as unity when it comes to regards to the flag. That has never been the case. Because if that was the case, we would be going through what we're going through right now. And like I said, I respect Drew Brees as a football player, but his comments really showed me a lot. I get it. He does a lot for the city of New Orleans. I know he did a lot for Hurricane Katrina. I get all that. But in this moment, he lost sight of what was really important. A man lost his life to do injustice. And he didn't speak about that. Instead of, he went right straight to the flag. This was never about the flag. This was always injustice to African Americans. And for him not to understand that is really disheartening, especially knowing that he's around a lot of African American athletes in the locker room. And I'm sure that conversation was brought up. So I just want to know, during those times when that conversation was brought up, what was his response then? He comes out now and makes those comments, and I just don't know, man. Like, I just don't understand how you don't understand, how you cannot separate the two from what Colin Kaepernick was talking about to what you're talking about, meaning Drew Brees, about fighting for the country. And when Avery and I, we're making these comments, of course, we are not disrespecting, people who fight for our country. That's not what we're doing. But what we're talking about is the injustice that has occurred in African Americans. And that has been taking place for over 400 years. And all we're asking is, why? Why is this still continuing? And to me, we just want answers. We want to be treated as equals. And when Drew talks about, unity, where's the unity as far as equality? We've been preaching that for over 400 years. We've been asking for equality whether that's, in the corporate world, in the sports world, wherever. We have always been talking about equality, and that's all we've been asking for. And Drew Brees really dropped the ball on this one. And to be honest with you, I don't know how he's going to be able to recover from it. You could see the pain in Malcolm Jenkins' eyes when he was talking about it and how hurt he was by Drew Brees' comments. And another thing is, too, I don't know if you saw this, Avery. Did you see Charles Barkley's comments about Drew Brees?
I did. I did see them.
So
but I'll let you go at it.
So, of course, we all respect Charles Barkley. Great basketball player. We get it. When he sits up on national television and says, Drew, the media portrayed Drew Brees in a bad light. Well, he didn't say a bad light. He said it was overkill. Well, Charles, how was it overkill? The comments that he made were hurtful because it was disrespectful to African Americans, including yourself, Charles. So I don't understand how you can sit up here and say the media is portraying this as overkill. No, the comment shouldn't have been made to begin with. This comment is separate from what Drew Brees has done his whole entire career. So don't sit up here and say, oh, that doesn't really represent him in a, how he really is as a person. No, it really does now, because that's how he's always felt from the beginning.
Speak on it.
It was just hidden. So when he made those comments about the flag, you could see the passion in Drew Brees' eyes and in his actions. And he didn't back away from it until he got criticized from teammates, criticized from other NFL players, got criticized by LeBron James, and got criticized by other media outlets. It was not until he got criticized is when he felt the need to apologize, and then had the nerve to say, oh, I spoke with other players and now I understand now. No, you're not going to understand in a matter of hours what has taken place over 400 years. You need 400 years to understand what has happened. So I don't want to hear, oh, I apologize. No, that's not good enough, because I expect you to say that when you get criticized. It's easy to say that then, but your comments spoke otherwise. But like I said, those comments were very hurting, especially I didn't expect that from Drew Brees, considering that he's always been come off as a stand-up guy and respected in his locker room. But I'm anxious to see how the New Orleans Saints organization moves on from this. Honestly, I think it's going to be very difficult to ever view him the same, especially from his teammates, but also from fans. I mean, we already see the city of New Orleans is already saying, they're done with Drew Brees. And I can't blame him for feeling that way, because he really lost sight on this one. I can let you know.
That was well said.
Yeah.
You're right. Listen, at the end of the day, bro, Drew Brees knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He said what he felt in his heart. The thing about it is, I believe that when Drew Brees made those comments, he honestly, in his heart, did not think it would go over this way, right?
No.
The backlash that he received, he didn't think he was going to get criticized. I mean, as you mentioned, bro, when he stated his apology, keeping it real, either his wife, his publicist, his agent, somebody told him, you messed up, man. We got to fix this. We need some emergency fixing right now. This is going to be a media crisis. It was very insensitive of what's going on right now.
They hit him with the Bill
My
Dukes.
thing for Drew is, wait a minute, Drew. Where were you in 2016 when Cap was taking a knee? 2017. Now, maybe somebody could pull something up. Some of these beat writers in New Orleans. In the national news, I did not hear a word of Drew Brees really kind of standing out and sticking his chest up, talking about, I'm not going to disrespect the flag. He wasn't saying that back then.
Exactly.
He's 4 years late. If he really feels that way,
exactly,
why don't you make that statement years back? That's what I was. It's like he's living in the past, or again, that willful ignorance or willful blindness to not realize what's going on. And when you're Drew Brees, I can understand it. You're a multi-millionaire, face of the franchise. Everything that he said as a white quarterback is probably calculated. He's towing the company line. He is making sure he says the right things about leadership and teamwork and this and that. And it goes along well. I mean, we could throw some other quarterbacks in there who fit that same same scenario of Drew Brees, right? They just never really speak up when it comes to social issues, and they try to just keep it tucked and clean. Don't really want to speak out too much. But in this interview, Brees, he didn't waste no time with that answer, that response. So when Charles Barkley's saying that the media is too harsh on him, with the times, I can't say that. I mean, Drew, listen, at the end of the day, we're facing COVID-19 right now. These NFL players are not meeting for training camp yet. They're not in person. So being that is virtual, they're getting on Zoom calls and stuff like that to communicate. And they mentioned that he did speak to his teammates, but I feel like that virtual talk is completely different from that in-person talk. That if they were still getting ready for the season in a regular season, they would have probably had this face-to-face. They might have gotten into a fight. I don't know.
Who knows?
But
it needs to be discussed.
Exactly.
Face-to-face.
Exactly. It needs, and even COVID-19 still, rampaging our country. And it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's slowing down, but it's kind of getting forgot about in light of everything else that's going on. But eventually when the NFL players get back in the locker rooms and they have their practices and preparation for the season, this is something that I don't know if they're going to be able to get over. I mean, we, just a few weeks ago, just talking about who's going to be one of the top teams, the Saints are on the list.
Yes.
Right? They're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender in the NFC. And they have talent, of course, but could this be something to completely fracture the locker room? I don't know. I will say that the Saints, at least from recent comments, it appears that the strong black leaders on their team, the Malcolm Jenkins, Cameron Jordan, Michael Thomas, Demario Davis, like they stood up for him. More so, Jenkins kind of, I won't say he really stuck up for him. It was more so the other three who've been playing with him for years. But let's also not forget that Malcolm Jenkins did get drafted to the New Orleans Saints.
He did.
Malcolm Jenkins was on that Super Bowl championship team when the Saints had beat the Colts.
Sure was.
So he played with Brees before. Then he played with, my Philadelphia Eagles and won a Super Bowl. So he's always beloved in my book. But besides the point, I'm glad he spoke out. I'm honestly, it hits different when it's someone who is going to be a teammate of his, since he hasn't played with him for years, but just got back to the team, got a new contract. Malcolm Jenkins didn't hold back. He didn't say, "Oh, well, Drew's my teammate. I'm just going to keep it hush." He's like, "No, I'm going to speak out. Let my voice be heard." And it was real. It was raw and uncut. And I've always been a Malcolm Jenkins fan, but I really, my respect level just grew for him a little bit more for Malcolm, and it dropped significantly for Drew.
Yeah, because like I said, you could see the passion that Malcolm Jenkins was talking, the hurt that he felt from them comments. Because like you just said, he was drafted by New Orleans. He played with Drew Brees. He was on that Super Bowl team. So he might have felt, I knew Drew Brees on a different level. So to hear him make those comments, it's like, wow. It means he always felt this way. And
absolutely.
And you have to start to wonder that, because he always felt this way. And I'm just anxious to see how that conversation is going to be once the season starts. Because like you just said, the Malcolm Jenkins and the Cameron Jordans, they're going to have to be the ones to really put the locker room together. Drew Brees, even though he was the key guy and leader, he's not right now. And he's going to honestly need that help from a Malcolm Jenkins at this moment to be able to kind of patch this situation together if they can. Who knows if they will be able to. I hope that they can, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't due to what is taking place right now. I just think, like I said, I was just very hurt by those comments, and I was also very hurt by Charles Barkley's comments. Because I expected...
I think that hurts a lot too, bro.
I expected a lot better from him. And
absolutely.
And I didn't see the whole video in its entirety, but I don't know if Ernie or Shaq or Kenny, if they ever addressed him on it. I don't know. I only saw the snippet of it. I haven't seen the full clip. So I don't know. I can't really speak on if they really addressed that or not. But see, those type of comments to me shouldn't be just thrown away, because you're basically trying to say, give this man a pass for his comments. No. Like, there's no pass for those comments. He said what he said and he meant it. And
exactly.
But how many times do we have to accept an apology
That's real.
for how people really feel? And
I don't know why, bro, with every time we're done wrong as a people, right? Black people, whether it's sports or society,
yeah,
it's like we always have to be the forgiving one, right? We get tired of it. We can see with the protests and everything that's been going on. This is like the 13th day of protests. It hasn't stopped. We're fed up.
It's not gonna stop. It's not gonna stop. So
it's not gonna stop until we get a resolution. And I hope they understand that. And it's unfortunate what Drew said, like, and he's towards the very end of his career too. He's in his 40s now. He had a long career, Hall of Fame career, unquestionable. But this is something that's going to tarnish his legacy forever.
Oh, it's over. Yeah, it's over.
It's going like all the work he did for New Orleans. Listen,
exactly.
It's one thing to donate money, right? It's great. You got millions of dollars. You're in the city. The greatest thing for Drew Brees is that Katrina happened, and it's an unfortunate of an event that Katrina was. Drew Brees signing with the Saints right during that Katrina time, it literally helped uplift him, how he was viewed, for how he brought a city together.
Yes,
okay,
he sure was.
And,
He's loved for that.
Absolutely, like he got Walter Payton Man of the Year. That year for his contributions to uplifting that community. It's a huge accomplishment, right? We're not, yes, on the field stats, he has that, but that's something you could always look back on, right? And say, man, Drew was such a great dude. But now for the people in New Orleans, it's like you kind of look at him a little side-eyed. It's like, wait a minute, like, yeah, you got us our Super Bowl, but as a person, if you see him at an event or doing something, it's like, dang,
the perception's totally
he's not really with us. Yeah, he gonna throw those touchdowns. It's great, but it's just not, it's not acceptable, bro. It's sad.
I know real quick. I know we've been talking about Drew Brees, Jake Fromm, that man. Did you hear all about the story, bro, with Jake Fromm?
I heard about the messages that he had said.
I don't know if that was his girlfriend or his friend, whoever leaked it. But I guess to sum it up, basically she leaked the messages out there that, about only elite white Americans should have certain type of weapons. And she leaked it. Apparently this was last year. I guess at the time, Jake's friend was trying to prevent her from leaking the messages. And basically she was like, no, this needs to be said. People need to know what he is saying, because basically he's just being a closet racist at this point. It's out there now, and I know, if I'm not mistaken, he got drafted to the Bills, correct?
Jake Fromm was drafted to the Bills in the 5th round.
Yeah, and I know the Bills made a statement about, saying that he apologized to the team and things of that nature. But that's another thing, you're trying to apologize for something that you truly meant. And, that really shows the type of person that he is, and that he's always felt that way for a while now. And
a lot of times, bro, people don't apologize till they get caught.
That's true. To sum it up,
that's what happened.
Yeah, because he wasn't going to apologize when he made that text message. And that's another thing, too. He wasn't being very smart, because you need to watch what you say in the text messages, because those get saved by a lot of people. They will use them against you down the line. That's all I got to say. Text messages,
tweets. Listen, bro, Facebook posts from 10 years ago. Listen, man.
He ain't know who he was messing with. That woman. And from what I've heard about her, too, she's been out there protesting, too. She was just like, Jake, this is not right that you're making these type of comments. Now he has to address it now.
And the other thing, too, he's an NFL player, right? His rookie year. If this was just a regular person, it's still wrong, but it hits different. This man has not played a down in the NFL. Rookie season. You're a 5th round pick, bro. Once you get past, look, there's rounds 1, 2, and 3. Once you get past those, really past the 1st and 2nd round, if you get drafted, you can get cut that first year. 5th round pick, you're not guaranteed to make the team. So you already have that going against you.
Exactly.
The Bills have their starting quarterback. Yeah, you got drafted to be a backup. Yeah. So you got to watch your P's and Q's, man.
He might not have a career after this.
Might not. And honestly, look, man, I remember him. He played for the University of Georgia. It's funny. I'm not trying to get off track, bro, but when you think of it, I believe Fields transferred from Georgia because they were going to let Jake Fromm continue to start. Fields, who next year could be a top quarterback in the draft.
Sir.
He transferred from University of Georgia to Ohio State, and he killed it. Okay,
Killed it.
Dual threat quarterback. He was going to be the backup to this guy. Okay,
Yeah.
And the University of Georgia, they're a perennial powerhouse in football. When I say that, they're not champions recently, but they're usually one of the top teams in the SEC. Fields wasn't going to start because of this guy. So he transferred. He tore up the league. And now, he had a decent year, I guess. I don't have the stats in front of me, but he got drafted in the 5th round, and that's not that great. Before these comments, his chances weren't that good.
Yeah, he's not going to see the light of day. He's not going to see the light of day. He's not seeing that football field. I mean, let's just call it like we see it.
Well, maybe, you know what? Hopefully they open the, the XFL. I don't think they're going to do that. CFL. Maybe he'll get a career in that. But, man, he going to have some work to do. My thing is, bro, we are in the season of pulling your card. People are getting their cards pulled. And it's the revealing season, okay?
Hey,
people are getting exposed right now.
It's summer right now. A lot of things getting exposed in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. People getting exposed, bro. With the time in this country, you can't hide your prejudice, your hate, the racism. There's too much. People pull up tweets from people all the time. Once you make it, bro, that's the thing. He made it to the league, okay? Whether it's right or indifferent, I'm not saying it's right for how his tweets got leaked. At the same time, bro, you could delete your tweets. Somebody gonna find them. You best believe that. You could delete them. Somebody's still gonna find them, screenshot them, send them to TMZ, post it. You can't escape it.
Yes, and I agree. I agree with you. Like, we're not saying that, obviously the way that it got out there, you don't want nobody leaking messages. We get all that. We don't want nobody leaking our personal messages. But this one, I'm sorry, it had to be leaked. Let's just call it like we see it. You're being a closet racist. No, you're going to get exposed, my guy. You're going to get exposed, Jake. And you got exposed. So don't think for one second that you were going to get away with it, because you didn't. And I'm glad that she did it, because you know what that shows me? That she's a decent human being, and that she understood this isn't right. This needs to be noted throughout the world that he feels this way. So I don't blame her for doing it one bit, even though, okay, you don't want to leak nobody's messages, but hey, she did the right thing in my book.
Hey, bro, let me just say it one more time. It's pull your card season. Hashtag pull your card 2020. All right.
That's pull your card 2020.
Hashtag pull your card 2020. That's all I got to say on that, bro. It's a damn shame, but we gonna keep it moving, bro. It is what it is. We
put a Drew Brees meme on it. Pull your card. Yeah.
Oh man, see, you know what? I don't even feel so bad that they got screwed out of the Super Bowl a couple years ago with that egregious era of a play. And the past few years, they keep falling short, right? Getting home field advantage and all that. Still fall short. I don't even feel sorry for them no more, all right? I was never a Saints fan before, never will be, and this definitely pulls me away from that for sure.
Done with them.
All right, so COVID-19 has hit our country rampantly. We have not been able to watch professional sports. Major League Baseball has not started yet. The NBA season, which has been a very exciting season, has not been able to progress. The NFL could be affected with their regular season. We'll find out. Of course, their OTAs and things like that have all been virtual. Training camp will be coming up soon. We'll see if they're actually able to accomplish that. Okay? I am so excited, bro, and I know you're excited too. You know why? Because the NBA is returning. Yes, that's right. We are not going to have to watch people playing cornhole. I don't have to watch cornhole anymore, okay? I don't have to watch reruns of the old basketball, old baseball, football clips. I don't have to keep watching the Eagles Super Bowl win a million times over on YouTube, which of course I don't mind. But
Jesus Christ.
But here's a good thing, bro. The NBA's back, okay? The board of governors, the owners, they all agreed. The Players Association, we're good. Here's how it's going to go down. We're going to have 22 teams that are going to go to Disney World. That's right. Disney World in Orlando, Florida to finish off the season from July 31st, concluding on October 12th. That's if there's a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. When they return, there's going to be 13 teams from the Western Conference, 9 teams from the East. Each team will play 8 regular season games to figure out the final seeding before the playoffs start. So, to put it in perspective, the teams who are kind of on the bubble, as in not playoffs yet, but could, we have the Pelicans, the Blazers, the Suns, Kings, and Spurs in the West, and we have the Washington Wizards out in the East. So, a quick little rule that they have, they say if the number 8 seed is up by 4 games or more at the end of this 8-game continuation of the season, they will earn the final playoff spot. If the 8 seed is not up by more than 4 games, they will unlock what is called a play-in tournament between the number 8 and the number 9 seed. Okay? It says the number 8 seed would only need to win 1 game, that first tournament game, while the number 9 seed would have to beat them twice, back to back, to earn the playoff berth. Teams will start practicing locally in July. So, again, teams will be practicing locally in their local cities, okay, before a full Orlando training camp ahead of the season restart. Some other interesting news: players will receive daily, that is every day, coronavirus testing and be required to follow social distancing protocols. But, this is funny, they'll only be reportedly allowed to play golf and eat at outdoor restaurants. There we have it, bro. That is what looks like the return of the NBA season. That's how it's going to play out. Or I guess the rules of how it's going to play out. What are your thoughts on this, sir?
Well, first, let me get this out the way. I'm glad basketball's coming back. I've been missing it because right now, we'll be actually in the midst of the finals right now. So I'm glad that it's coming back. Personally, for me, and you know this, I've kind of been against the NBA coming back. Even though I'm happy it's coming back, I just didn't think, considering what's going on in our society, that it should come back. Personally, I thought they should have just restarted just the season in October and just had a new season. But I will say this, and the benefit that of it coming back, I believe all the players will be healthy. I'm intrigued by the play-in tournament if it works out that way between the 8 and 9 seed. I'm anxious to see how it's going to work out as far as the testing and as far as the social distancing, to see how that's going to work out. You know, I'm very intrigued by it. I think what's going to be kind of weird is not seeing fans in the arena. That kind of gives the feel of sports as having fans there. So that's going to be kind of awkward and kind of weird to get used to. But the best thing about it is, and even though I was against it, it is good that basketball is coming back and we're going to see everybody healthy. The only thing that I disagree with the NBA on is that the proposal that they have out there is if it goes to a Game 7, which will end on October 12th, the following season is going to start December 1st. I'm sorry, bro. That's insanity to me. I'm sorry. Look, I don't know what Adam Silver, the NBA Board of Governors, was thinking. I don't know what the owners was thinking. Heck, I don't know what the players were thinking for agreeing to that, because they have a lot more say-so than what they think. And my thing is, I mean, December 1st, at least go to the end of December on Christmas Day, or either have it in mid-January, but that's a quick turnaround. You know, it also benefits players like Kyrie, Kevin Durant. So when they come back, they're going to be fully rested. They're going to be like, we ready to go, versus teams maybe like the Lakers and Clippers or Boston or Milwaukee, whoever. They might be pretty tired coming into the next season. So,
That's
you
facts.
know, I think the NBA needs to revisit that and decide how can we push that back further, because you got to have a draft, free agency, trades will be discussed during that time. Where is there going to be cohesion to have a training camp? You're basically rushing into a new season. So I think that's something they really need to fully discuss. But with that said, it's anxious to see how this is all going to turn out. I mean, I do have the Clippers winning it, by the way. I'll just throw that out there.
That's respectable. That's respectable.
I just think they're going to come back fully healthy. But it's going to be interesting to see how everything goes. I'm excited.
I like that.
I'll let you continue.
Let me, real quick, bro. So I'm looking at the standings, right? So the Eastern Conference, I mean, they're pretty much set. Like if the Wizards, I mean, we keeping it real. The Wizards have basically the Orlando Magic, who are the 8th seed. Their record is 30-35. Okay, the Washington Wizards record is 24-40. Okay, the Wizards pretty much have to like win almost every single game, and Orlando has to honestly fall off the face of the earth in this 8-game plan.
Insanity.
So I'm not really concerned about the East. For teams, like Milwaukee and Boston in the East, I'll put in my Miami Heat in there too. Toronto, like they still have something to fight for. I mean, Milwaukee, they're really just trying to get their continuity back. I mean, they're pretty much solidified as the one. We can kind of leave it at that.
Yes.
Boston, Miami, they could fight for the 3 or the 4, right? They're only a couple games split from each other. But when you go to the West, we got Memphis at 8. They're 32-33, right?
Yeah.
Portland, New Orleans, Sacramento are all tied for that 9 seed.
That's going to be interesting.
Now, technically speaking, Portland has their winning so and what I also saw, bro, is that the NBA is going off of the winning percentage of these teams. So currently speaking, the Portland Trailblazers winning percentage at the record of 29-37 is .439. New Orleans at 28-36 is .438. Sacramento 28-36, same record, .438. So if we're really being honest with ourselves, that 8 seed, it could be Memphis, Portland, New Orleans, or Sacramento. I don't believe the Spurs or Phoenix. I feel like they're too far out of it. They honestly have to win like 7 out of these 8 games and wish everybody just fall off the face of it.
Exactly, and that's not happening.
See, now the interesting thing will be, and I looked at the schedule, so New Orleans and Memphis play twice. I honestly, truly believe that because we're only going to be able to watch from TV, no fans, the league wants Zion to get that 8 seed. I'm telling you this right now.
And he needs to get that 8 seed.
The league wants to see Zion versus LeBron in the first round. We want to see it. I want to see it.
Yes.
I want to see Zion dunk on AD or LeBron. We'll see if that happens. But
he might get
listen. It will at least be. It'll be entertaining, bro. We don't want the Lakers to have a cakewalk in the first round. We want to at least see. Can Zion at least put on a fight? Can you get me one game, right? Can you get one? That's all I want to see. Can you get me one game, Zion and Zoe and the crew and Brandon Ingram, your boy? I want to see. Can they get one game? But with that being said, I mean, it'll be very interesting. I mean, I'm rocking with you when you say the Clippers, bro. I'm rocking with you on that one.
Yeah.
But most people or media want LeBron to rise to the occasion again and get it done. I mean, Bron been working out every day. Get ready for the season. I mean, for the revamp of the season. I mean, it's gonna be very interesting. I'm excited to see it. The top of the Eastern Conference is interesting. Milwaukee, Toronto, Boston. My Heat. I can see Boston making it to the finals, bro. I can see that happening.
I can see it.
I feel like personally, record wise, they're not the best team in the East. Okay, they're 9.5 back of Milwaukee, but if they get their continuity together between that 8-game regular season, I don't care if Boston's a 3 or the 4. They're not going to slide any further than that. But Boston is scary. I don't know in a 7-game series. There's no home court advantage now.
No,
there is none.
That's the benefit.
So when it comes to playing and obviously the Clippers and Lakers, that doesn't really matter if they play each other same stadium anyway. So that's not really a big deal.
It benefits the Lakers. That's basically a road game for the Clippers.
It do benefit the Lakers. So on a neutral site,
it's different.
It's gonna be the whole league's gonna have to adjust with no fans. Some players crave that, like they crave the crowd. Yeah. Think about when teams go on runs, bro, in the playoffs.
You feed off that energy.
You feed off that energy, right? At home, you feed off of that. This gonna be like glorified pickup. I hate to say it. Maybe they're gonna put some. Maybe they're gonna put some music bumping in the stadium and the arenas.
They did say they're gonna play 2K music. They said that. I read that.
Okay, bro, you can't just have us hearing screeching the court and every time somebody get fouled. Like we gotta. This is gonna sound like when the G League played. Like that's what it's gonna be for real. But that factor intrigues me, bro, because like you said, you can't feed off of that crowd.
Right.
Some people live for that.
Sorry,
at the same time, some people.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, bro.
I think they said 2K crowd noise. Sorry, I apologize.
2K. Oh
That's
my
even
goodness.
worse.
You're playing on the sticks, and then you got, you shaking the left trigger, right trigger with somebody shooting a free throw. That's what they gonna do, bro. Every time LeBron get to the free throw line, they gonna shake the screen.
Yeah,
Come on now.
The screen.
Oh my god. Oh man, that's funny, bro. I mean, look, I'm excited either way. I mean, some people, honestly, bro, when we talk about Bron, it might help without the crowd because you don't have to worry about the excess stuff going on. Like you could literally just focus in on doing your job. I think, man, I really hope we get the Lakers and Clippers in a conference final in the West. It's going to be interesting how this works.
Yeah, I mean,
so bro, you can probably tell me if Milwaukee the 1 seed. Let's say Boston keeps the 3. Is Boston going to face Milwaukee in the semis or the conference final?
It would be the conference finals. They would actually
conference final. Because
your Heat is number 4, correct?
Yeah,
they will play Milwaukee.
Stay at the 4.
They will play Milwaukee,
yeah.
and I'll be honest with you, they can take Milwaukee to 7 now. I wouldn't be surprised.
I believe so.
I'm going Milwaukee, but I would not be surprised if Miami upset them. I wouldn't be shocked.
They could push them. They could push them.
Oh, they can go. Jimmy Butler, a bad boy. That's my guy.
Butler, my boy Bam Adebayo. Shout out Miami Heat. You know what I'm saying? They got the bench. They got the shooters. Okay. They got some, Tyler Herro and the crew. They got listen. They don't have superstars per se except for Butler, but they got a solid team, and they're dogs, man. They're gonna go after it. And we'll see how motivated Giannis is, bro. And if he motivated to get over the hump, he might be able to just shut him down. But
he'll be fine. He has that hunger in him to always want to succeed. His game has improved. He got a little bit of work on his jumper, but he's getting there. I mean, with that said, I'm still going to take Milwaukee out of the East, and I got Clippers coming out of the West, and that's going to be the final showdown. It's going to be a rematch, Kawhi versus Giannis. Is Giannis going to show up this time after Kawhi locked him up for them possessions, in the Eastern Conference Finals last year? Let's see what's happening. That's the matchup I'm intrigued by.
Kawhi is out of the East, right? So if you aren't Giannis, this is your time, right? The Greek Freak, you might get back-to-back MVPs. This is your time to shine. All right? Yeah. Okay, Boston might challenge you, and I believe they will, because your boy Tatum's a bad boy. He's bad. I don't rock with Boston teams, but he's a bad man. This guy, listen, I respect Jason Tatum. I don't like the Celtics, but I respect the hell out of him. He gonna be a superstar. I'm telling you now.
That's a bad brother.
The Boston Celtics don't got nothing to worry about for now. But like you said, there's no. Toronto. I mean, we're kind of ignoring Toronto, but I mean, it's just weird without Kawhi in the playoffs. I just don't see it. I don't see them. Over. But at the same time, I feel like this. If any time we've seen uncertainty of who's going to come out of a conference for the finals, this might be it, because this COVID thing is going to show, like, okay, who's been grinding in this time? Who's just been sitting home, Netflix and chilling all day, or who's been in the gym getting to it, bro? Like, I don't know. We gonna find out, and I think the 8-game play, warm up pretty much will help. I didn't know if they were gonna go straight to the playoffs. Now, if they went straight to the playoffs, we're gonna see a pretty good amount of upsets. We're going to see a pretty good amount of upsets. Yes. I can tell you that. Yes. But I respect the NBA. I believe that if one league we could have expected to come back, they were going to be the ones. I truly believe that. We discussed this before, but just the number game, right? They have the less amount of people. Now, listen, I know, the sweat and touching the ball, and if someone sneezes, cough, I get that. Tight, playing defense, you're up on somebody. But I'm just saying, from a number standpoint, when we look at Major League Baseball, we look at the NFL, there's just more players on those teams. And yes, they might be spread out differently in the field of play. However, less people, I believe a less chance. So the biggest thing is COVID. Like, the biggest factor in all this, if Giannis, if LeBron, if Kawhi, if one of these superstars, James Harden, Tatum, one of these guys get COVID, it's going to be really interesting how they're going to go forward with
I
this.
would shut the season down. I'm serious. Because then you're going to have an asterisk next to the champion.
Absolutely. And then
that's why I didn't want it to come back. Because of that.
That's real. I mean, like I said, for some reason, everybody acting like COVID don't exist anymore. Like everyone's kind of like, oh, it's summertime, we're good. I saw a thing from CNN that said that just because it's getting hotter out, that doesn't mean it's going to kill off the virus. Okay. People, I think, falsely believe that it's going to be 90 degrees, down south and in Orlando and stuff. It's going to be so hot that it's going to go away. Not from what these medical experts have been saying. So we can kind of kick that out of here. Like, I don't believe that's going to be a way to end it. But at the same time, bro, like I said, we're excited. I think pretty much so. Let's do this. If you have your finals pick right now, no COVID interruption once we restart, who do you got coming out of each conference?
I got the Clippers in Milwaukee. That's it for me. And I got the Clippers winning it all. I've always had the Clippers to win it all to start the season. But I'll be honest, I was nervous in March because the Lakers were looking good. And
very true.
But I think with this time off, Kawhi is going to come back rejuvenated. Paul George is going to come back rejuvenated. Patrick Beverly's going to come back rejuvenated because all those players had injury. So, and I think the Clippers are more deeper and they're more fresher than the Lakers. The Lakers are great when you have LeBron and AD, but the rest of that roster is pretty old. Yeah, they've contributed well this season. Kuzma's not that old, but when you got the Rondos, you got the, Jared Dudleys, you got the Whites, so on and so forth. KCP, those guys, I don't know if they're going to be able to withstand that playoff. They've had this layoff. The worst thing, in my opinion, is to have a 30-year-old player sitting for almost 4 months and coming back and ready to play a game.
Will 8 games be enough? We'll find out. I don't know.
It might not be.
Some teams don't get there. They got to play for like a month or two to get it cracking. But
yeah, you got to rebuild chemistry all over again.
All that, but at the same time, with LeBron being the type of player that he is, able to get guys shots and stuff, he's gonna be able to try to get his guys going. I don't know if Giannis in the same way can do that for his squad. So I'm gonna say this: my finals prediction. I agree. I want to see it, bro. I really want to see the Clippers. Something's telling me the Lakers are going to do it. But I'm sticking. I'm putting my feet down. Okay, I'm standing tall. I'm going with the Clippers coming out the West, okay? They might go 7 with the Lakers, but I'm going with the Clippers. However, out of the East, I do not have the Milwaukee Bucks.
Woo.
As much as this pains me to say this, I have to believe in my heart of hearts, we're going to see the Boston Celtics make it to the NBA Finals this year.
Hey, I love your energy. I love the energy. I love it. Hey, I would love to see that too.
To my soul, to my core. I'm going with Clippers and Boston, and the Clippers are going to win in 6 games. But I'm giving – listen, I would love to see Milwaukee make it. Bro, listen, I don't think with this layoff – and plus, it's not just Giannis. This is role players. Are they going to show up? Because if you don't got them, Giannis could drop 50 a night. We've seen MJ lose in the first round. He could drop 60 points, 50 points, and still lose to the Celtics. So
you got a valid point. My thing is this. We saw what Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, and the crew did against, Toronto last year.
Exactly.
They got scared the moment.
That's my thing.
We're going to see.
I'm rocking with it, bro. I hate to say it. I hope I'm wrong. Please, I want to revisit this and say, you know what? I was wrong, and the Heat made it to the finals.
You should be happy. You should be happy that you said that. And here's why. We can talk about this at a later date. I've already said it before. Giannis, you better look at Miami Heat next offseason. That's all I got to say. I'm throwing it out there. I'll go to State. I'm personally saying Miami. To me, that's a more better pick.
Hey, I'd love to have him come down to Heat Nation. Let's get you a chip, Giannis. Come down, Pat Riley. Coach Spo, we got it. We gonna get you, man. We gonna get you. Man. We got shooters, okay? We got the shooters down. Come on down to South Beach. We got this one. We got it. But yeah, man. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, July 31st to October 12th, NBA is back, and we love every bit of it. All right. The topic my bro has been waiting for.
Let's do it.
We have been waiting for this for a minute to do this topic while it's still fresh, or at least somewhat fresh in y'all minds. So, The Last Dance documentary, the 10-episode long documentary of the 97-98 Bulls championship season. MJ, aka the GOAT, aka the real GOAT, hashtag the real GOAT,
That's right.
the sixth chip, the second three-peat, all right, in the 90s. Y'all have seen it. If y'all haven't seen it, I don't know what y'all been doing through COVID. But anyway, ESPN debuted it earlier than expected because of COVID. We had nothing to watch. We were itching to watch something. And ESPN released The Last Dance early for us. So we got to enjoy it. My bro and I, we've been speaking about it. There's been a lot of, how can I put it? A lot of drama with The Last Dance, with former teammates of Michael, Jeffrey Jordan, as well as media talking heads as well. There's a lot of stuff to get into. But I know my bro Sterling is going to break it down for us about The Last Dance.
All right. So let me take a deep breath first, or, I go all the way in. First off, we can all agree the documentary is fantastic. First off, that might be one of the best sports documentaries I've ever seen. Might be the best I've seen.
Yes, sir.
From the combination of going back to how it all started with the first 3 championships, then going to Michael Jordan's retirement, then going to, obviously the last 3 championships, discussing all that type of stuff. Also talking about Jerry Krause. So I'll start there. Jerry Krause. Here's what I'll say about Jerry Krause. All right, I have mixed emotions about this, bro. So first, here's what I'll say. He was a great GM. Now, I know a lot of people talked about, he broke up the team, which he did. He did, and that was his fault. He should have never did that. But I think also another component that people are forgetting is that think about other GMs that we talk about through the course of NBA history, bro, from Jerry West. He always gets credit for the Showtime Lakers, and he gets credit for, Shaq and Kobe. We talk about, Danny Ainge. Even though Boston hasn't won a championship since 2008, he still gets credit. And I get it. Those guys were former players. I get it. But I think, even when we, talk about with ownership, like we talk about the NFL, we talk about Rob Kraft, he still gets credit. And I think that's what Jerry Krause wanted. Here's what I'll say. He went about it the wrong way. And I just think that he just felt, hey, I never get any credit. It's always to Phil, Michael, and Scottie, and the rest of the guys.
Deservingly so.
And I think, like I said, how we look through the other, landscape of sports, a lot of GMs do get credit. Think about, Toronto's GM. He got a lot of credit. Just simply for trade for Kawhi for 1 season.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what Jerry Krause wanted. He just wanted somebody to say, man, this man put this together. Now, with that said, you don't break up that team. You just don't. You let it go until they lose. Or until they just fall off and just, obviously get old. When you got the greatest player in the world and the greatest coach of all time, greatest player of all time, and Scottie Pippen, who is a top 50 player, along with good role players, you keep that team together. And you put your differences aside. And I'll be honest, Michael and Scottie, they kind of dismissed him. They said some cruel things to him, which they could have kind of dialed back a little bit. But with that said, I just wish that they could have all made amends and worked that out. So I'll dive in deeper to a lot of hate that Michael Jordan has been getting from this documentary as a bad teammate. So I'm going to start there. Okay. So here's my issue with that. Michael Jordan was obsessed with winning. You can say what you want. He got on teammates a lot. But a lot of times that's part of greatness. And I think a lot of people fail to realize is he had to push those guys in order to get the best out of them. Those guys weren't going to face the scrutiny every night that he faced walking into that Chicago Bulls arena. As the man, as the face of the NBA, as the global icon that Michael Jordan is. When you have that immense pressure on you, you got to be hard on people because you're expecting greatness out of them that you already show. He wasn't trying to be disrespectful to those guys. I know a lot of people try to say he was being bully and all that type of stuff. No, he was trying to make those guys better, flat out. And I have an issue when people try to disrespect his legacy and say, oh, he was a horrible team. Okay, he probably wasn't the best teammate. He probably said some words that wasn't great. But at the end of the day, that man wanted to win and he did it. I just think that people have to fully understand that that's part of greatness. You know, a lot of things aren't going to be easy. It's going to be confrontation, as you saw with him and Steve Kerr. You know, him and Scott Burrell, they got confrontational. I mean, he said a lot of things in that documentary. But at the end of the day, man, like Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time, and he put the work in. And we can apply that work ethic to our everyday lives of working hard to be the best and being obsessed with it. He was obsessed with being the best, the absolute best that he could be. And I cannot knock a man who is trying to be the best version of himself and be the greatest player of all time. And that's what he aspired to be, and he accomplished it. So you can say what you want. He wasn't the greatest teammate, so be it. But that man is a winner, and he will always be, in my opinion, revered as the greatest player to ever play the game.
That's well said. And let me add to that, too.
Go right ahead.
I said this before, but Sterling and I were born in the 90s. We didn't see, well, we saw Jordan, but we were little kids, so we didn't really understand it, okay? Sterling knows and I know we still acknowledge Michael Jordan as the GOAT, okay? We're in the era, we've seen Kobe, we've seen LeBron, a lot of great players, Tim Duncan, okay? We get it. But in respect to the old greats, the Magics, the Birds, and, you know, Isaiah, Will, you know, Bill Russell, Kareem, like a lot of great all-time players, okay? At the end of the day, like it's hard to ignore what Michael Jordan did on the court. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, off the court, you know, LeBron's so much greater than him. And that is absolutely true. LeBron does a lot more off the court than Michael had did publicly that we know of. So that's a fact. But when they hold it against him, I kind of scratch my head. I mean, listen, like you said, Sterling, you eloquently said it, man. Like MJ did his thing. Yes, in the chase for glory and greatness of a champion, sometimes you sacrifice mending, you know, relationships and hurting people's feelings. But at the end of the day, I mean, he went you 6-0, man, like 6 for 6. Like he never lost in the finals, never got past a game 6 in the finals. And people, oh, he played against plumbers and accountants. I'm like, okay. The amount of Hall of Famers that he prevented from winning a chip in his era is something to highlight that I think people ignore. You know this, bro. Like, how many people did he like?
I mean, we got
come
Reggie,
on now.
Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing. You got John Stockton, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. I mean,
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley. Like it's. I mean, he stopped Hall of Famers from being elevated to a position. You know, so I mean, like think about we talk about Charles Barkley. I mean, obviously he's a top 10 power forward, but he's not in the top 5. You know what I'm saying? Like if he had a chip or two, he probably would be. So it's like Reggie Miller. When we think of shooting guards, he's like at the tail end of the top 10. And you know, and that's because of Jordan. And I think another thing with this topic too is that I got a lot of respect for Scottie Pippen. And I'll be honest with you, I'll be first to admit he deserves more respect. We can just be real. He deserves more respect for his time in Chicago. And I think that's something that a lot of people really disrespect his career. This man was a heck of a two-way player. I mean, his defense was exceptional. So before I go in on Scottie, shout out to Future, by the way. Just had to throw that out there.
You wrong for that, man. You wrong for that.
I just had to shout it out. Anyway, Scottie Pippen. Love you, bro. Top 50 all time. How were you viewed in a bad light? Everything that took place in that documentary was factual. Like you did sit out of that game when Phil Jackson says Tony Kukoc is getting the last shot. Like you did that. Factual. And you went on record in the documentary saying, I would do it all over again. Come on, Scottie. Like if you had said, I apologize and I wouldn't have done it that way, this wouldn't be talked about. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Like, you know, and I respect Scottie, but that was a bad look.
I think he's still bitter. I mean, players, man, and you know, with MJ and the whole Isaiah Thomas thing, like even MJ, as we've seen through the docs, still bitter, man. He's like, I don't rock with Isaiah Thomas, okay? Still to this day, right? And with Scottie, it's like, with whether it was that situation, the contract situation, which when they, first of all, that I know back then it was different money, and MJ was getting like 30 plus mil, and then Scottie there at like the end of the totem pole, like barely getting paid. But to the same extent, Scottie signed that long term deal, and that was his choice. If you're the owner, I think Reinsdorf said he's like, "Oh, you're gonna sign this? Like, okay." He's not mad at it. Hey, it's less money I'm paying you.
He told him not to.
So it's like, that's your fault, man. I mean, with the money that was starting to get generated into the league, he was deserving to get paid more, significantly underpaid, and that's on him, though. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's another fact and a reality that he had to live with. You know, he got it. He got his money once he left the Bulls, but man,
he was definitely underpaid. I agree. They could have restructured his contract. I know that's the contract that he signed, but they should have restructured that man's contract. He deserved to get paid way more. I mean, he was a top 5 player in the league at that time. You know, top 5 or top 10. You know, wherever you feel about it, but you know, he deserved to be paid. You know, and I feel like he deserved better than that. I was about to dive into Horace Grant, but we ain't got time for him. We'll get to you another day, Mr. Grant. But I want to dive into just real quickly the Detroit Pistons angle of all of this.
Go ahead.
Because to me that was kind of the big, you know, discussion. So for one, I know we all heard the leaked footage that came out of Michael saying that, you know, he didn't want Isaiah on the team. So this is where Michael Jordan should have did better. He honestly should have came out and said, hey, I didn't want him on the team. We all knew he didn't want him on the team. We all knew Magic didn't, Bird, Charles Barkley, so on and so forth. We all know nobody on that team didn't want him. And I think it's a travesty that Isaiah Thomas was not on the team. He should have been. You know, this man is a top 50 player, and at that time, he was still a top 10 player in the NBA. He deserved to be on that team ahead of John Stockton and that god-awful Christian Laettner. I'm sorry, Christian Laettner was trash. So, and my bad, and I forgot something. They put Christian Laettner on that team when Shaq should have been on that team. So let me just get that out there. So that's even more disrespectful that you didn't put Shaq on that team. But this ain't about Shaq.
Shaq on that team. Oh my god! I mean, it's already known as the Dream Team, but
exactly.
Oh my goodness!
Exactly. Like, and the fact that they interviewed Christian Laettner for that Dream Team documentary was so horrible. He wasn't on the team. Okay, it was 11 guys. We don't count Christian Laettner on that team anyway. But I think, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, I saw Michael Jordan got very upset about the lack of handshakes Detroit, you know, displayed. And I get it. Michael Jordan said it, and he was right. You know, he shook their hands when they beat them. But also Isaiah has a point too when he said, you know, the passing of the guard, you know, Boston Celtics didn't shake their hand. Isaiah had to seek out Kevin McHale's handshake.
That is true.
You know, so I get where Isaiah's coming from, and I also get where Jordan's coming from. But I think it's to the point where they have to let this go. Enough is enough. And Michael, you got to let it go, bro. Like, you stopped this man from being on the Dream Team. That's not cool, man. He deserved to be there. I don't care. They talked about chemistry and all that. Y'all would have worked that out. Come on, man. Like, I don't buy that for a second.
Well, bro, at the same time, Magic, you know, when Isaiah had their sit down, right? You know, they had a sit down as well. And it's definitely possible. I mean, both men are just stubborn in their ways. I mean, it's, you know, an important point of history in basketball history, with the, like you said, changing the guard. I mean, without the Pistons, MJ would have reached new heights. They talked about after they lost that conference finals, you know, they were in a gym, right? He's trying to gain muscle to be able to take the physicality of what Detroit was giving them, and also to be able to fight back with their own physicality. The whole Bulls team, you know, had to lift weights and adjust the way that they trained. So they knew when they got to that point again, they would be ready for them.
And they were.
And exactly. And that the rest is history at that point.
I mean, it was a great documentary. I love that they talked about his father, because you could tell his father had a major influence on his life. I mean, I knew about that and looking at previous documentaries, but And I just love the fact that they shared on, Scottie Pippen, life story, Steve Kerr. I know a lot of people knew about his father being killed. Dennis Rodman. I love Dennis. I mean, that man was a fool, man. Like, I mean, shout out to Dennis Rodman, man. Like, he did not care at all. But people got to give Dennis credit, man. Like, that man was a very great defender, and he was key to championship teams. So shout out to Dennis Rodman, man, for, escaping. Did you see that episode when he escaped the media, ran through the back?
Man, that was hilarious.
Hey, that was live, man. It got in the
they
car.
Had the guy in there. He's like, listen, look, we're trying to sneak out Dennis through the side gate. We got like hundreds of reporters out this way. We could try to let him go. And then it was hilarious to me. They let him go. He sprints up. And then the reporters, and they're trying to get up the stairs.
Couldn't catch him.
And by the time they got a camera, he was gone.
He was in the car. It was over.
He was gone.
He was on his way to Carmen Electric. It was a wrap. That's where he was going.
That's funny, bro. I was just like, damn, that was definitely The Last Dance provided the drama. It provided some humor. Okay, all the things you want to look at in a good series, docuseries, whatever. It had it had a good setting. It had the climax, like all the things you look for, like placed in it. It was great, and I don't know if we'll ever see anything like it again. The magnitude, just because of the greatest basketball player ever. Like, we needed 10 episodes, bro. Like, this wasn't just a 2.5 hour movie.
We needed
20. And the thing is, even with 10, you still we missed stuff that could have been included, and that's the crazy part.
There's a lot of unseen footage we ain't seen. Oh yeah, more Scott Burrell Jones.
I think it did. Yeah, it definitely did justice. I think everybody appreciated it. Even if you're a super LeBron fan, you got to respect it. Salute it. A Kobe fan, if you think Kobe's better than Michael, and if you think LeBron's better than Michael, whatever you feel, see, you just got to salute and respect it at the end of the day for what this man did and the impact he had on the league with his deal with Nike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, man was gonna go with Adidas. All right, like
shout out to his agent.
Oh man,
save that deal.
Shout out to his agent and his mama. His mama said, she said, you know what, Michael, you should at least go meet with the people, right?
Mom and dad both said it. Yeah, they both did. Yeah.
And now we got the billionaire NBA owner, Michael Jordan. So, man, it's a phenomenal story. Woo. I think we're good, bro. That was a good first episode.
Yes, sir.
I think we hit everything on the head. We appreciate you all for listening and tuning in to the first episode of The Savery Show. We want you to rate us, review us, follow us on the gram, Facebook, and YouTube at The Savery Show. Until next time, peace and love. We'll catch y'all later.
All right, y'all.